Shalom, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai, Barak the Yahweh, Barak the Yahushai. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahushai, double honors to apostles, elders, and bishops of Great Millstone that taught us His word, and peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, pushing this truth across the planet Earth, in sincerity and in truth. As you already know, there's been some riots, some uproars of the people out here in Los Angeles. It's just more biblical prophecy, coming to pass. And that's some of the things that we were told to look after, man. The uproars of the people. That's how we know that we're close, to this time. We're close to, the hour of Jacob's trouble. We're close to the hour of temptation, the time of Jacob's trouble, where in the hour of temptation, where you're going to push that mark of the beast, all the technologies in place, digital currency, implantable chip, little brain chips, Neuralink, and all that. So everything is in place. So you just have to push it. So we're moving closer and closer to that day. But right now, you have ground troops or the National Guard's a lot. You have the National Guard that's been deployed out here in Los Angeles, and they're thinking about active duty Marines, which he's going to invoke what they call the Insurrection Act, you know, and that's basically martial law. And that's what scriptures talk about, man. So we look forward for these riots to intensify. Right now, the Northern Kingdom is going through it, and soon, Southern Kingdom, you know, Negroes, you got Jamaicans, Caribbeans, West Indians, because I believe Trump is probably going to target them as well, for deportation. Maybe, hey, you never know. He may even target, the Negroes now. But it's going to get, Lord willing, it's going to intensify, increase more and more. But this article out of the Post Millennial entitled "Breaking 500 Active Duty Marines Prepared to Deploy and Out to LA" report. Pete Hegseth said that should be necessary. He was prepared to deploy Marines. You see all the chaos, the destruction, these Waymo cars. CNN reported that the U.S. Northern Command has said that about 500 U.S. Marines were prepared to deploy to Los Angeles to quell the riots that have broken out there for 3 straight days on Sunday. Planned protests at the federal courthouse turned to riots after the protesters were moved away from the area. Yeah, that Northern Command, man. Lord said He would keep us far from that northern army, man. President Trump deployed 2,000 National Guard to Los Angeles after riots erupted on Friday night. Pete Hegseth said that if it should be necessary, he was prepared to deploy Marines to the area. LAPD declared an unlawful assembly on Sunday afternoon. Those Waymo cars being vandalized. The violent mob assaults on ICE and federal law enforcement are designed to prevent the removal of criminal aliens, illegal aliens, from our soil. A dangerous invasion facilitated by criminal cartels and a huge national security risk. So that all the pieces are in place, man. Since Friday, anti-ICE agitators and activists have staged direct actions in Los Angeles to protest the Trump administration's deportation activities. Yeah, and it's going on, the 4th day. It's Monday, June 9th. And, it's still going on, so Lord will, intensifies. But this article out of the Huffington Post how Trump could use the Insurrection Act to deploy troops in LA. You know, so there is going to be an insurrection. The scripture said there's going to be a basically insurrection means an uprising. Scriptures talk about an uprising or an insurrection against those that fear the Lord, and also scriptures talk about they're going to disregard, the civil authority, the princes and their kings. So there's going to be a huge uprising, and that's when that martial law is going to take place. This is from the Huffington Post. It's dated today, June 9th. At least 300 National Guard troops have been deployed to Los Angeles. And the president has not ruled out whether he will invoke the Insurrection Act. And he will, he'll invoke it. So it's a little discrepancy. This outlet claimed 2,000 National Guard troops, but Huffington Post talked about 300 National Guard troops. So a little discrepancy there, but point being, when the Marines get called in, that's going to be the big thing, man. The martial law. As protests continue to flare in Los Angeles over the Trump's administration carrying out immigration raids and deploying National Guard troops to the area, President Trump has floated the idea of invoking the Insurrection Act or objections from California's governor and LA mayor. So yeah, he's just doing his own thing, man. He doesn't care. He's also talking about suing some judges. That goes against his Immigration Act. Suing judges, usually judges can just operate and do whatever the hell they want, But Trump's talking about suing these judges now, so it's picking up. Yeah, as tensions escalated on Sunday, the Pentagon said it was prepared to send at least 500 active U.S. Marines to Los Angeles. So what is the Insurrection Act of 1807? The Insurrection Act of 1807, which is a bit of a misnomer since it is actually a combination of several statutes enacted by Congress. It's a federal law that gives the president power to deploy military or National Guard to put down domestic rebellions, uprisings, or other fits of civil unrest. There we go. So martial law and the Insurrection Act are not one and the same. The Insurrection Act is invoked typically to have the military assist civilian law enforcement. Martial law refers to when military becomes enforcers of local and state laws. And the Supreme Court has never ruled on whether the president can unilaterally declare martial law or whether he would need Congress to approve the declaration. But he is going to approve that martial law, man. That Insurrection Act is just one step to the martial law. Scripture say there should be like mad men sparing none out here, man. These troops. But the first scripture is 2 Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. When thou seest part of the signs past, what I told thee before, measure thou the time diligently, man. You gotta be on that watch. And know that the times that you're living in, understand that the times that you're living in, man. Earthquakes, wars, rumors of wars, uprising of the people. Those are all signs that we were told to look for before the coming, that terrible day of the Lord, man. Then shalt thou understand that is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, man. We're seeing that, man. We've been seeing that for a while now, man. Earthquakes, diverse places, uproars. So we're getting closer and closer, man. So once they institute that chip, World War III, all this stuff is all simultaneously happening all at the same time. That's how we know this is the end, man. Earthquakes, Wars, rumors of wars, uproars of the people, you know, knowledge, increased knowledge, increased technology, that mark of the beast technology. It's all happening all simultaneously, all at once. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Yeah, it was written, it's prophecy that these were to come to pass in this time now. Second Ezra 15 and 11. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. So it's talking about modern day Egypt. It's talking about ancient Egypt. It says, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. The Most High is going to bring them ancient Egypt plagues back to this modern day Egypt, Sodom and Egypt, Babylon the Great, America. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plague and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. And they that till the ground shall mourn, for their seed shall fail. Through the blasting of hail, and with the fearful constellation, woe unto the world that dwell therein. For the sword and their destruction doth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So yeah, these uproars, these riots, they're going to turn violent. Other groups of people are going to be getting involved. Right now, you see Issachar, Northern Kingdom out there, but soon, you see those white nationalists, those neo-Nazi groups. They're out there marching. Eventually, they're going to get involved, and all going to start fighting. Northern Kingdom, Southern Kingdom, are going to get together, fight all-out race riots in these streets, man, with swords. So it's going to get violent, and that's when the Marine troops are going to have to take over. Those Marines that get called in through the Insurrection Act, which will turn into martial law, because these people are going to be fighting each other with swords in their hands, guns, man. There shall be sedition among men, invading one another. They shall not regard their kings or their princes. They're not going to care about what Governor Newsom has to say, or Mayor Karen Bass has to say. They're going to go out. They're going to be out there, fighting, and killing. And the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So yeah, they're going to have to invoke, that martial law. All those Marines with the law enforcement agencies. Man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. Yeah, you ain't gonna be able to go to the next city. You ain't gonna be able to go downtown. You ain't gonna be able to go up north, down south, to another city. There's gonna be roadblocks. Troops are gonna be blocking off the roads, keeping everybody, quarantined, throwing people in concentration camps, all that. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. As for the mighty men are going to cry there bitterly, man. Man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for the great tribulation. Yeah, let's go famine. We're seeing it with these, with these truckers, these ports that are slowing down, these distribution centers. You're not going to be able to get no food to these distribution centers. The distribution centers aren't going to be able to get the food to the local grocery chains, grocer chains. So there's going to be a famine, and people are going to be breaking into their neighbors' homes. All out chaos. Yeah, you're not going to have any pity upon your neighbor. You may have lived next door to your neighbor for 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But when that food starts to dry up, and they can't feed their family, they ain't got pity on you, man. You're going to want to go in there and take what you got. So 2 Ezra 16 and 46. Star 45, and they that labor in vain. Yeah, all the ones that worked hard their whole lives, started businesses, worked their way up the corporate ladder, whatever it is that they've done, whatever little fruit or whatever benefits they reaped from that hard work, you did it in vain. For strangers shall reap their fruits, and spoil their goods, overthrow their houses, and take their children captives. For in captivity and famine shall they get children, and they that occupy their merchandise with robbery. The more they deck their cities, their houses, their possessions, their own persons, the more will I be angry with them for their sins, saith the Lord. Yeah, just another example, man. It's going to be all out chaos, man. People are going in your houses, taking what you got, taking your kids, and that's when you're going to have to, that's what's going to be bad, man. Martial law, all that. Yeah, just jumping down to verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you and feed you, being idle, with things offered unto idols. And they that consent unto them shall be had in derision and in reproach and trodden under foot. And there shall be in every place in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord, an uprising to those that fear the Lord, you Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans. But because you have that zeal, for the Lord, you have that zeal, but not according to knowledge. Many people be in these churches are, Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans are the ones that have that zeal. So it's talking about, you Israelites. It's going to be uprising against you, man. And they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. For they shall waste, take away their goods, and cast them out of their houses. Yeah, throw you into the concentration camps, man. Martial law was in full effect, man. So the Insurrection Act is going to turn into the martial law. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they shall be tried as gold in the fire. Yes, when the enemy shall come in like a flood, and the Lord's going to lift up a standard against them. So the martial troops come in, that troop comes in like a flood, that's when the Lord's going to make known who are his, man. When that martial law, when they invoke that Insurrection Act, bring in them troops, then they're going to invoke that martial law, and they're going to be out there sparing none, throwing people in concentration camps. But then, it said right here, then shall they be known. Cast them out their houses, and then shall they be known who are my chosen, man. The enemy shall come in like a flood. That's when the Lord's going to lift up that standard, That's when you're going to know that standard's going to be lifted up, whether it's that protection, it's spiritual protection, a spiritual strength, however the Lord's going to do it to whom he does it to. You're going to know that man is the man of the Lord, man. You're going to know that man was chosen. Then you're going to know who was chosen, man. His chosen people. Hear, O ye my beloved, saith the Lord, behold, the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. Yeah, the days of trouble are at hand, man. That's what the prophets have always said, man. Days of trouble, but now we're seeing it. We're seeing these prophecies come to pass. So the days of trouble are at hand, but I will deliver you from the same. So the Lord, his men, aren't going to have to worry about nothing, man. The Lord said, I will deliver you from that. Be not afraid, neither doubt, for the Lord is your guide, man. The Most High is your guide. Be not afraid, neither doubt. Yes, this article spoke about, the Northern Command, the martial law, Marines, the U.S. Northern Command. The Lord said, I'll keep thee far from that, Yeah, it's Joel 2 and 20. But I will remove far off from you the northern army, and will drive him into a land barren and desolate, with his face toward the east sea, and its inner part toward the utmost sea, and his stink shall come up, and its ill savor shall come up, because he hath done great things. Fear not, O land, be glad and rejoice, for the Lord Yahweh Shem Shai will do great things. Yeah, the Lord's gonna do great things in these end times, man. Expect these miracles. The point being, that I will move far off from you the northern army. Yeah, that NORCOM, man. The Lord's gonna send, as Trump is gonna send in. Really, the Lord's sending them in. Said CNN reporter that the U.S. Northern Command has said that about 500 U.S. Marines are prepared to deploy to Los Angeles. But you can expect that to be nationwide, man, in these end times. But the Lord said, I'll keep far from you that northern army. But be glad, rejoice, because the Lord's going to do great things, man. He's going to reveal his men in due time. And he said, neither doubt, neither be afraid, for the Lord is your guide, man. Yahweh Shem Shai is your guide. So you have nothing to worry about in these last days, man. He ain't going to put nothing on you that you can't handle. With that, shalom.